Let's talk about pivots and how in this moment, especially historically, we're all being asked to make them, and how everyone's asked always in their lives to everyone has a moment where they have a choice. Hey everybody, it's me, Busy Phillips. Welcome to Busy Phillips is Doing Her Best. Help me say hi to Shantira Jackson and Caissie St. Onge.
Hi. Hello.
Hi. So guys, this is it. This is episode 1 of our podcast. I don't know. We don't know what we're doing. I just feel like it's going to be fine. I'm excited. I love to talk. You know that about me. I feel like what happened in my ear, nose, and throat doctor's office earlier this week is sort of analogous to what's happening with the way that I feel about this podcast, which is that I've been having really bad acid reflux for 2 months. Almost everyone I know has been having terrible, something that's not COVID, but it's like eating away at them, you know? Yes. And so mine has been this throat thing. It's just been so weird. And so I went to see Dr. Sugarman, had to get a COVID test before I went to the office. Everybody wore masks. And he looked in my throat and he was like, yeah, well, we got to do this camera thing. We got to put this scope down your throat. And I was like, that's fine. I had sinus surgery a couple years ago. Sugarman's been my doctor since I was 20 years old. I started seeing Dr. Sugarman. And, he's the kind of doctor in Beverly Hills where his walls are plastered with gold records from Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears. And then
they need their throats.
Wait, I'm not even kidding you. The nurse took me into the special scope room and hidden behind a corner, truly hidden on the corner, no one could see it, was White Snake. Like a White Snake gold record. And I was like, oh, poor White Snake guys. They got put back there.
We have too many.
Yeah, I guess. So anyway, so I went in and they put this numbing thing. He's like, so we do the scope up your nose and then down your throat to check out what's happening. And I was like, again, I got this. And he went up the nose. I'm like, this is a professional. And got down. He's like, now start saying, ah. He's like, ah. And I legit gagged so hard that I was like, oh, you gotta get it out. And he pulled it out. I was like, oh my God. Okay. I'm okay. Let's try it again. I'm good. I can do this. I'm so good at this. I'm great at this. And he started to do it again. And the same thing happened. I had this violent physical reaction. I could not let the camera get past a certain point. And so after the 4th time, when he changed the scope. He went for the kid size.
The children's.
He got the children's scope out and he pulled it out. Meanwhile, I'm a sweater, right? Everybody knows. And not guys, not a cozy sweater. I sweat constantly. And
a wet sweater.
I'm a wet sweater, and I sweat on my
sweater.
I sweat on my face. God help us all when I go through menopause. You know what I mean? It's going to be such a puddle. Anyway, back to Sugarman and the scope situation. He 4th time pulls the camera out, and I'm sweating so hard. I'm a puddle. I'm on one of those plastic chairs. There's so much sweat under my legs. It's so gross. I know when I stand up, there's going to be 2 leg marks. And I just started crying. And I was just like, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I'm not good at this. I should be better at this. I don't know why. I just don't know how to do it. And I wish I knew, and I'm sorry. And I think that I don't know what to tell you. He's like, you have to breathe. You need to breathe. How could you expect to be good at having a scope stuck down past your vocal cords? Why would you be good at that? You've never had that done before in these past almost 20 years that I've seen you. We've never done this. Why would you be good at it? And it's not something that people can be good at. It just is what it is. And I just felt this like insane pressure, like that I wanted him to think I was the best patient.
Yeah.
I wanted to be the best at it. And when I couldn't do it, it like paralyzed me and caused me to have kind of like a panic attack and breakdown. And I was thinking about, I'm always trying to like tie in the physical with the emotional, you know? And I was thinking about like this week, and we're going to record this podcast, and the breakdown in Sugarman's office, and I'm having throat problems, like when I've like agreed to do a podcast. And I was like, oh, it's because I might not be the best at it. And if I'm not the best at it, I want to have something to say, well, you know why I wasn't the best at it? Because I had these like throat issues. And so, you know, I didn't have full range of my, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, all that to say, I'm putting it out there that I might not be the fucking best at this because I've never done it before. And it's new for me. And there have been a lot of new things. And no, I'm going to cry. And I think that in life, this is kind of what we decided this podcast should be more about than what we initially had sold it as, because what we initially had sold it as doesn't exist anymore. I just think that there's value for all of us in this moment to remember that good things can come out of forcing yourself to change and to do things differently and to be open to what that is and what it looks like. And whether it's on a big level, like maybe you change long-held beliefs that you didn't even know that you fucking had, or if it's on a small level, like being an actress that then became a talk show host that wrote a book that decided to do a podcast. I mean, that's all like kind of basically the same fucking thing. You know what I mean? Or, you know, or if it's that you've been furloughed from your job and you've found yourself making beaded necklaces and you're really finding a lot of joy in that and selling them on Etsy. I don't know what it is. I just think that we need to all have the ability to breathe deep in this moment and forgive ourselves for not being perfect right out the gate. Is that a good introduction?
I think it's a good introduction for you.
Thanks.
No, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, we just wanted to come on here and talk to people about what was happening in our lives. Maybe it's interesting because everybody's having that moment right now where we all, you know, thought we knew mostly where we were headed 5-6 months ago. And, you know, things have changed for a lot of people.
Yeah, we all had plans. And I think that if we talk about it, I think it's important because a lot of people feel really alone just before all this happened. And I think that this is a really good opportunity for us to acknowledge that we're all changing all the time. And then that's okay, especially if you had no idea. Because like when you leave for college, you make a plan to change, right? Nobody planned this at all. And that's okay. It's okay.
It's okay.
We're all just doing our best.
We're all doing our best. I think that most of us are, and there are a few people that are not, and they happen to be at the highest levels of government, which is
not doing their best.
Wild. that they're not giving it their all in this moment. But also to be expected, I guess. Wow. Yeah. So Shantira, we met when you came in to meet.
Yes.
For a job on Busy Tonight. Caissie and I called you in because we read your packet. I felt like I knew you as soon as you walked in the door, and Caissie had seen you in the lobby and like loved your hat and your whole vibe, your style, and was like, I love this person.
Yeah, it was like one of those moments where you debate with yourself, like, should I tell this complete stranger that they look super cool? Or like, should I be less weird and just acknowledge it in my heart and move on? And so that day, for whatever reason, I opted not to bother Shantira and be like, hey, I really like your look. You look super cool. And I think that I even like regretted it a little bit in the elevator up, because who doesn't want to hear that they look super cool? But
I always want to hear it.
Yeah, especially in a lobby at NBC. Give me anything. The odds are I'm going to leave with nothing. So please, if you see someone in a waiting room, give them a compliment.
I agree with that. I've learned, and I've been doing so well in the last several years when somebody's like, I love your dress. I'm like, thank you so much. Me too. Like, instead of like, I got it on sale, like all that bullshit. Like, we've talked about this before, but like, I don't know if we have. I feel like we have.
No, we have. Yeah. I always say that I give especially for women, I always give like a running compliment, because we're so trained to. Yes, it have pockets. Yes, I got it on sale. Oh, this whole thing. I'm always like, I love your blazer, and then I like run away. You can't take it.
Love that.
I really love that jacket.
Shantira, I really loved getting to know you on Busy Tonight, and I always loved everything that you like brought to the it wasn't even a table. It was more like a very small desk that we all had to sit around. We were in tight quarters. It felt a little bit now in retrospect like a sorority, what I would imagine a sorority was, because I wasn't in one, but like
we called
like
it
a
the
college
sorority firehouse.
Yeah, it was like a firehouse.
It was. There were two men who worked there. I love them, and they were in an office together. So it was so funny. But like, if you want to talk to a man, you have to go to the end of the hallway.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. We can't help you. I like loved the experience after my, almost 20 years in entertainment, working with like mostly men, to then going and having like those two guys who were very
so nice boys.
Nice. And I'm not trying to like, they just are not like the most stereotypically masculine men. And I just found the experience of being around all of the women that and people that we worked with to be so refreshing and
it was so
inspiring
fun.
And so fun. Had you ever been in a writer's room before that?
I had been in a writer's room before. But it was very small too. It was like I had done some awards shows, but then I did my good old buddy Curtis 50 Cent in the Club Jackson was my first boss in the industry.
Is that 50 Cent?
50 Cent. Yeah. Curtis.
Oh my God. I love that.
Cent.
Like, is that 50 Cent?
It is.
Like all
50?
of a sudden I turn into a suburban mom.
Yes. He was my first boss. Yes, it was 4 people in that room, and he was our boss. And
what was it? What was the show?
It was 50 Central on BET. It was a sketch show. It lasted for one summer season. And the one thing, that was the first time I ever hugged like a very famous person, and he smelled so good. And then working on your show, I met other famous people, and I was like, oh, I smell poor. Like, I don't smell bad, but like I was like, wow, you smell like something that I have never smelled before, that I know nowhere to find.
Can I tell you,
smell?
Shantira, I remember very vividly, like when Michelle was dating Heath Ledger. Mm-hmm. We were like scrappy, living in apartment living, and I didn't have any super fancy friends at that moment in my life. I was 23. Mm-hmm. And I remember we went to, I think it was like Reese Witherspoon's house. And why am I whispering? Because this is going to be on a podcast. and I remember walking into Reese's house, who I'm like friends with now and I adore, and she's the greatest. And you know, she's
I love her.
You know, she's
Little
the best.
Fires Everywhere. She played a great terrible white woman. I was like, give her an Oscar for that TV show.
I think didn't she get an Emmy? Not did she get an Emmy?
No,
No,
she
I don't
didn't.
even,
We were
oh, really?
Black Twitter is currently still furious.
Oh, interesting. Well, anyway, I remember going into her house and it smelled so good. Like, and I was like, what is that? What is that? Michelle, what is it? And she's like, I don't know. Go into the bathroom, see if it's in the bathroom. And I went into the bathroom and it was like, there were just these like kind of all over the place, but like not in a scary way, like candles that were just burning, but they like seemed really well tended to. Like, can I show you my candles? First of all, what's happening here? I can't even light this. There's not even a wick.
That's
This
a lot
is
of
just
soot and grit.
that's just gross. And like they always like all of my candles like have like a layer of like film and dust and also this doesn't even, I mean, bless, it's fine. It's not the same. I don't know where fancy people get those smells from.
I don't know. I'd never smelled anything like Curtis Jackson. And let me tell you something. They also say that about Rihanna.
You know who also smells the best? And I feel like I've talked about this. Marlon Wayans.
Oh, yes. You said he smells literally delicious.
He smells so good that I mean, this is like kind of maybe inappropriate. I emailed him one year when Mark and I had just started dating. And I was like, what is it that you put on your body? Because I want to get it for my new boyfriend. Yeah. I feel like he should smell like you. And I got it and I gave it to Mark. And Mark tried to
whip on him.
No.
Dang.
And no, it never worked. And then at some point we ran into Marlon. Because, you know, I had done White Chicks before Mark and I started dating. And at some point, like not recently, but shortly after that, we ran into Marlon. And when he walked away, Mark was like, yeah, he smells real good.
Yes.
But I think it's like a natural scent mixed with whatever. You know, there's like those weird dating sites I feel like I've read about where people are like, you're not supposed to bathe for a day. And have you seen those? Those like meetups?
I've heard that, yeah.
There are like these meetups where people are supposed to come
with their own musk.
Yeah, because like if somebody smells good to you, then it's like that's your fucking person. However, I think that Marlon is just a person that objectively smells good to everyone. I actually don't think it was like, because it doesn't make sense that legit everyone who meets everyone on the set of which like everybody is like, this person smells incredible. Anyway, guys, I'm in the midst of a lot of different things that I'm juggling for the first time, including which, but not limited to, I have been put in charge of the merch for Birdie's new school, whose birthday is today. 12 years ago, right now, 12 years ago, I was trying to push that giant baby out of my vajays.
Well, if this turns out half as good.
Oh, that's so sweet.
That's so cute.
Oh, actually, that is weird too, though, cosmically, isn't it? It's kind of strange.
Yeah.
Like that on this day. Wow, 12 years ago. I think I was pushing by 2. No, I wasn't. We'd have to work backwards. I pushed for 3 hours.
Whoa.
It was terrible. She was 9 pounds, 7 ounces, 22 inches long. She was giant.
Peanuts.
Anyways, I know you had giant babies too. But okay, I had a full epissiotomy. Do you know what that is, Shantira?
Is that where they cut you from the rooter to the tutor? That's what my grandma would call it. That's what my grandma Louise would say.
Definitely exactly what they did to me. Anyway, merch.
Is it cool?
What?
Is it cool? Is it cool merch? You
know,
like it?
School spirit wear or whatever.
Sure.
Like t-shirts.
Well, you have great style, so you can't, if your name's on it, it's got to be fly.
Well, here's the thing. That's what I felt like. But also, there's a lot of things at play. Like, she's going into a program that's a public school program, like a magnet type, like a special program.
Yeah.
That's all about social justice and gender equity. Yeah, it's amazing. It's so cool. And it is a new program. So social and gender. Oh God, I just had deja vu. What does it mean? What does it mean? This is all good. I think it's all good.
I love that.
Now, if only I find a penny, then we know it's really good. You know my theory about finding pennies, right, Caissie? I've told you this.
I think so. Repeat it for people who aren't me.
Shantira, have I ever told you?
Maybe, but I want to make sure that it's right.
I find pennies a lot. I travel a lot. I'm many different places. I do a lot of things. I make lots of choices. Every day I make choices about where to go and what to do. Obviously not right now, guys, because, coves.
We'd be in the house.
Right. But previously on my life, that's the way it was. And I would find pennies. Like I would pull into a parking spot to go into a place, and I would choose the spot totally randomly, whatever. And then I would come back out and there would be a penny that I didn't see before, just right next to my car door. I feel like it's like a video game where you collect coins. I played Super Mario Brothers when I was little on old school Nintendo. And I feel like in life, cosmically, the pennies that I find along the way are like my Super Mario Brothers telling me that I'm on the right path.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or not. It's just what I like. I
think everybody has their own little sign. I see dragonflies.
That's it. See? Your dragonflies are your pennies.
If I see a dragonfly and I'm like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be right now. And because it's not like a butterfly or like a bird. Like you see those all the time. Like dragonflies are like a little bit more like, oh, dang, where'd you come from? And when I see a dragonfly, I feel like I'm on the right path. That's my penny.
Well, Caissie, do you have one? Is it just Prince songs? Because I've been with you. I've been with you when that's happened, and it's wild.
It's true. I'm a huge Prince lover. And yeah, the song always, a song of his always comes on as I'm walking into somewhere. And I feel like it's a little like, you got it. You can hang with whoever's here.
Yeah, that's a good vibe.
But once we were just walking through the lobby of a hotel to get to the valet in the back, and it happened, and we were like, what is happening? And
is there a better place to hear a Prince song than a hotel lobby where there's magazines?
Yeah. Anyway, the pressures of all this school stuff, online schools back in sesh soon, next week for kids here in Los Angeles. However, not in person, obviously. So it's going to be a lot of Zooming and things like that. And just taking on this whole new thing is wild as a parent. And I don't know, man. I'm just trying to juggle everything.
I think that time isn't real. It's a construct. And now even more so, time has never been less real for me right now. I mean, I do have appointments and then there is a Zoom, but if somebody is yeah, I didn't do that, you're that makes sense because time's not real right now.
I can be putting on one sock and then it's, and then I remember to put on the other sock and it's 40 minutes later.
Yeah.
I got abducted by aliens.
But is that ADD though? Isn't that just ADD?
I think it is an onslaught of from the pandemic because I too will be let me put on a shirt and then I'll be and then I'll put on some socks after lunch.
Just Winnie the Pooh in it for half the day.
Just nothing at the same time.
Well, listen, I mean, it probably for some people, it is an attention deficit disorder. I mean, we know that for sure, but probably for some people, we're just at an attention deficit right now because there's so much to pay attention to.
Right.
And hardly half of it, our pea brains can even fathom it. So,
And I in the beginning of COVID had posted this I don't know where it's my Instagram stories. I did a bunch of Instagram stories where I was like, oh my gosh, I figured it out. Everybody has new baby brain. It's the same thing that happens when you're a new mom, which is like all of a sudden a huge chunk of your thoughts, subconscious or at the forefront, is taken up by like keeping this tiny thing alive. And so you just are sort of in this fog because you are tired because you're not sleeping great, but also you're just like always thinking of what could possibly happen and where the dangers lie for this infant that you have to keep alive.
Haven't had a baby,
right?
And sorry to my mother, will not be having one. But that is a very interesting, like, because I don't have anything to compare these feelings to. But truly waking up, like the idea of like waking up and being like, "How's my baby?" Like for me, I wake up and I'm like, what did America do?
Yes, it is. And then I think George Floyd, and then like, the movement of the last 3 months. I mean, I swear to God, if you told me that this has been but if you told me this has been a year, I'd be like, yes, it has.
Time construct.
Time doesn't work. Right, I think that we're all, parts of our brains that maybe have never needed to be used or have never been used before are now being activated in trying to both keep yourself and your loved ones safe, and then also if you're a person with any sort of like empathy or concern for the rest of the world, like I think it's incredibly overwhelming.
Just you talking about like keeping a baby alive. Like sometimes I'm like, I have to eat again. Like I have to be like, I really do have to feed myself. And like, it's just me, right? Like we have a rabbit at our house, and I think she was confused.
You're rabbit free?
We have a rabbit.
I know, but is it...
Oh no!
Does she bounce around?
She has her own section. My house
is
her
own room.
Absolutely not. She could not walk around my house and chew up every cord that costs $70 from Apple. Absolutely not.
No, my friends have a house bunny. My friends have a house rabbit.
Yes.
And Shobi, his name is Shobi. It's a boy, and he hops around their house and he goes and uses like a litter box or something, and then
our rabbit is she's a divorcee. She is a powerful bitch. And
why is she a divorcee?
She's a divorcee. Okay, so before my partner got her, she was living with another family, and there was those all white rabbits with the red eyes. They're my least favorite.
Yeah,
sorry.
I don't like them.
She was technically like bunny married to him, and she beat the shit out of him.
Oh no.
And she was like, this is not for me. I do not want this man in this cage with me. And anytime they tried to put him with her, she beat the shit out of him. And then they were like, most rabbits like a partner, like they don't like to be alone. This rabbit was like, I am a free woman. Get this man out my cage, and she's been alone ever since. She don't want no man in her. She is a divorcee.
I feel like Whoopi Goldberg said that exact same thing.
Yeah, she was like, she did.
She doesn't want a man in her house anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I don't either, but
I mean, I ain't no men in my house.
I can't believe 12 years. Birdie's 12. We're doing this. Do we want to explain to people anything?
Well, I was going to say we kind of have to back up. Speaking of being new at things, we kind of have to back up and tell people what the dang podcast is about.
Basically, after Busy Tonight, the late night talk show that I hosted for a little bit of time, was canceled, Caissie, who was my showrunner and partner in that show, and I went on to try to figure out what was next. And we had like a whole journey, and we actually were going to do an entire podcast about said journey. And then COVID happened. I was paralyzed. Caissie was like, I don't know. I feel like it's unfair to you guys because we're being like weirdly what's the word, guys? My brain doesn't work anymore because what?
Cagey.
Vague. I feel like we're being cagey or vague about what the thing was that we were doing. But essentially, I'm just going to like kind of try to give you an idea of it. But essentially, after all these years and the experience that we had on Busy Tonight, I felt, and Caissie agreed, and we came up with what we thought was maybe a different way to make high quality shows for people that didn't involve a traditional studio or network system, but did involve getting a lot of money but did involve getting a lot of money from like directly from advertisers.
Yeah. To be clear, not a lot of money for ourselves, just money to make the project. We weren't talking about millions of dollars. We were talking about enough money to pay people to help us make a fun thing.
That's it. To be honest with you, I always tell Birdie, I'm like, you're not getting a thing. So you better figure out how you're going to make money as an adult. I'm not leaving my kids a penny. Not that I probably will have one at this point. But if I did, I'd find it and I'd say, I'm on the right track. Anyway. So it wasn't, we wanted to basically figure out a way to fund programming independently, but by calling on advertisers to help fund it. But we needed like other partners that were outside of the entertainment industry. It was just like a whole thing. And in order for us to focus on this and try to put it together, it was a puzzle because it also has kind of it hasn't really ever been done. It was something that it doesn't exist or didn't exist, or it sort of has, in some ways it has. And we would take meetings with people. We had a meeting with a guy last fall who was the head of a very big agency, and he does like venture capitalism and stuff. And he was like, well, that's ridiculous. You can't do that. You have to have a studio or a network or something. You have to have a service. Like, that's stupid. You can't do that. And I was like, the fact that you're saying that to me makes me feel like, of course we have to do it.
And so I remember.
Wait, and you want to tell everyone, I told Shantira, you want to tell everyone when our big meeting was in New York?
It was like
when it was scheduled for.
It was like March 16th,
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Everything shut down March 14th.
Yeah, it was March 16th.
March 13th was my son's last day of school before they shut the school system down. So I just think of that as like we never left the house after that. But
we were supposed to fly. You and I were supposed to fly
to New York
the 15th,
to have a big meeting.
The 15th, and the meeting was the 16th at night.
To have a big meeting with big people that could have like made this possible, and then that just didn't happen.
But whatever, and poof, it like doesn't exist. Okay, fine.
Because guess what? Poof, lots of things don't exist now. So like everyone else in the world, Busy and I have sort of had to like shift our plan. And after like a few weeks of just sitting stunned in our houses and not knowing what was going to happen.
A few weeks, AKA several months. We don't know. Time doesn't exist.
Yes. So we just sort of, started to gradually like come up with a new idea for the podcast. And it seemed like since we were pivoting with the podcast and pivoting with the big idea of what we wanted to do together.
The big idea pivot was the impetus for pivoting the podcast.
Yeah.
And I know that there was I feel like there was like some discussion at some point about just doing like a straight podcast, where we just talk about current events and whatever, which is kind of what we are going to do.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't quite right. I don't know. It just didn't feel quite right. Focusing on asking people about pivots and getting the times in their lives when they've like struggled and then things have turned, or for better or for worse or whatever, what they learned, how they moved forward. For me right now is like a very heartening thing to listen to. And so I do think it gets lost so frequently. I think that people really just focus on the highlights and the successes and those other points are sort of, oh yeah. And then there were whatever. It was like 10 years where he didn't work, but he was, he's fine. And then he's a billionaire, whatever.
The overnight success is not true. There's nothing that happens overnight. There's
Ever.
A lot of nights.
Yeah.
Multiple nights lead to the success.
Well, because success is just a moment. It's not a continuum, really, especially.
Ooh, yeah. Say that again. I'm horny for that. That was good.
Yeah. I'm sorry. That is, I had salmon in my mouth, but that is your Oprah moment for the day. Please say it again.
Please say that again.
Success is just a moment. It's not a continuum.
Woo.
You know, so you just have to, and it's really hard. It's really hard. You know, it's like the old thing in busy. I know this is true about you, but I think it's true about everyone. You can receive 1,000 good reviews or compliments, but the one that you really remember is the one person who says that you look like a T-Rex, right?
Yeah.
That's the exact thing that the person said about me.
Right.
And that's
IMDb.
like,
yeah. And I'm sure a million people said that you were beautiful and wonderful and really dug you, but you remember the T-Rex comment.
Back in the day, guys, Shantira, this is before your time as a professional performer in this industry. IMDb, it was like before social media existed, IMDb had like chat boards on it. And I would like occasionally check mine to just see what people were writing about me because I was a young person. I was in my early 20s and I was new on TV and I was excited about making my dreams come true. And it was like my first experience. I was like, oh, people hate me. Oh, these strangers like think I'm terrible. And the one that was sort of weirdly the one that has stuck with me these 20 years was somebody started a thread, Busy Phillips looks like a T-Rex. And I don't know why. And then underneath it was like, I mean, she looks like a dinosaur to me. And I don't know why, but part of it was like, yeah, I do. I understand. Yeah, I get it. I do look like a little bit like a dinosaur. And that's a reason to be mean to me on my IMDb. What? Anyway.
You have a strong jawline. You should never apologize for that.
Shantira, my strong jawline is the dinosaur part.
T-Rexes are hot.
Yeah.
We're going to make them hot. We're going to make them hot.
But anyway, I just think that we remember our successes so infrequently in comparison to bad days. And, you know, we should really work harder to sort of flip-flop that.
Yes. So then once Caissie and I started to get like an idea of how we were going to move forward, what we wanted to do next, in terms of like making a show or something, online content. I don't know. I mean, I do know, but we'll talk about it at a later show. Then I was like, okay, we can think about doing the podcast again, like under the umbrella of like, let's talk about pivots and how in this moment, especially historically, we're all being asked to make them and how everyone's asked always in their lives to everyone has a moment where they have a choice. And Shantira and I had been chatting a bit and I was just like, would you want to join this podcast? It would be fun to have your millennial take. Also, just your take as
just her takes in general.
I mean, are wild sometimes. I remember just like in the room. Okay, I'm going to give an example of the story that I love, but we can't use the person's name. But anyway, a man was on Busy Tonight, and he was fine. I thought he was fine. Shantira, after the show, I've never seen you before or since. You were like crying blood. You were so angry.
I was furious.
You were so furious at how he had treated me on the show, and I was like, really? I think it was like fine. And you were just like, fuck that guy. He was treating you like you were like some little pet. Like you, and I was like, ooh, was he? Oh God, I feel like I was, I thought I was really
very hot under the collar.
You were so hot. And just in that moment, I was like, I think that's a generational difference. I think that like, I was so trained when I got into this industry that like, anything goes really. And like, to me, like he was such a mild case of that toxic masculine energy that I've had to deal with since I was 19 years old on sets, and he didn't like try to grope me or get my phone number. So I felt like it was a win. And you just like the way he spoke to me was unacceptable to you. And you were like, I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't put up with it. You shouldn't have put up. I was just like, wow, that's a new way to.
And I will kill him.
I think he's
I had
going
to like
be
go
dead
upstairs.
anyway.
I was like, I'm going upstairs.
Yeah, you had to like leave. You were so angry. And I appreciated it. And I really was like, I'm going to really think about this and why I wasn't as angry. Like why I couldn't process in that moment that it was really unacceptable. It was my fucking show. Like he was coming into my home and treating me like that. It was so weird.
I was like, that's my busy, and you do not talk to me like that.
We're so mad. Well, anyway, so we thought like having that perspective is interesting. You know, you are a dynamic performer and comedian, and you're really funny, and you always make me laugh. So
we have fun.
We do have fun. We have laughs. We have fun. So we're going to be talking to some people in the middle. We'll put these interviews in. We're going to talk to some really amazing people. I'm super excited about the next few weeks of interviews that we have lined up.
So who are we going to talk? Who are we going to talk to today?
To start the show, I felt like, because I'm so obviously clearly nervous about this, I felt like I should go with someone that I've already interviewed 473 times. And so we asked my very good friend IRL, Ike Barinholtz, to chat with us about pivots in his life. And we had a really great talk, and there's a lot in there. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Mark and I were just talking, actually. He's like, how many times have you interviewed Ike? I was like, I think.
Every time.
Between you and Seth, it's like it's two close friends of mine who I've just said, they've asked me so many questions they know the answers to.
It's so dumb.
You're our Tony Randall.
Oh that is my dream. That is my dream.
You just come running in. You're always there for us.
Always there. Gary Busey's sick. Tony Randall's on the way. He's in traffic, but he's on the way.
I would love that, actually. I would love it if you were just my only guest ever. I don't know.
God. That would be perfect.
He's fine
Has
with
a
that.
show ever done that? Has a show ever had just the same guest every night, aside from co-hosts?
I think that, what's the Scottish dude who used to have a show?
Craig Federson.
I feel like Kristen Bell was his only guest.
So, Veronica Mars. Let's talk about Veronica Mars.
She was on so much. I love her. It was funny. But I was like, every time I watched it, it'd be her. And I'd be like, and then one time she was hosting, I was like, is this her show now?
Maybe it should have been. But no. They had to give it to another white guy from a foreign country.
Give it to another white man of Scottish descent.
Yeah. Who now is like, they're like, give Ellen's show to him. I'm like, why? What's
Craig
happening?
Ferguson is hosting Ellen.
I need to know, is he keeping both shows? I don't think this is really happening, but in this scenario,
No.
Does he
is
get both
keeping
shows?
both? Yeah.
Yeah. To me, it's the only way it works. It's so insane. It's like, you know what? Fuck diversity. I know that we've talked a big game in the last month and a half, but let's give that guy two chances.
Well, giving someone two shows is diverse in itself. No one else is doing that.
This is true.
It's
that is Steve Harvey erasure.
He has 20 shows.
He has 20 shows on at the same time. He's the only person who gets no non-compete. He'll be like, ABC will let me do it, NBC.
Wait, you know
Steve Harvey's on 20 shows, and every one of them, there's two qualities. He is hilarious, and he looks absolutely miserable.
So Isaac Barinholtz, as a close personal friend, if I do say so myself.
Yes.
I feel like I've seen some pivots in your life, more than one.
A couple.
Yeah, couple.
I had to.
Well, do you want to, what sticks out to you in thinking about that? idea?
Because I thought about it, and to me, it actually kind of was pretty clear. So as we discussed before, I was on Mad TV. I've gotten on multiple flights by proving that. But I had moved to LA, and I had met Busy and Mark, and for a year and a half or so, I was really struggling and a busboy and trying to just get hired. And eventually, I got hired to Mad TV, and it was so exciting. And I was like young and got to do sketches and stuff. It was really, really, really great. And when you do those shows, you had a 5-year contract, and I had come to the end of it. And at the end of the 4th year, I met this woman who is now my wife.
I was there.
Busy was literally there.
I was literally there.
In Las Vegas.
In Las Vegas, guys.
Yeah, we're trying to think of a better story to tell our kids.
You're out of your mind. It's the best.
We're trying to be like, we met at the UN. We were both at the UN, and your mom was in.
No.
And I was like, no, Hard Rock Casino.
Hard Rock Casino, eating those like delicious nachos.
Oh, the best chicken nachos.
They were so good.
Legit. Anyway, so I met her, and she was living in New York, and I was on a TV show, and I convinced her. I was like, you got to move out to LA. I got to go do my show. And she was like, great, let's move to LA. She actually said, I'll do it. And I was like, wonderful. And so my contract was up on Mad TV, and I was, I remember I was like, well, I was talking to my manager, and I was like, obviously I'm going to, let's see what the offer is, whatever it is, this is the number I want to come back at. And their offer was nothing. They literally were like, no, there's no offer.
You're not coming back, sir.
Not coming back, basically. They were like, thank you for your service. I think the show at the time was really running low on money, and whatever. So
Michael McDonald got all of it.
They gave it all to Mike. It was a very not a fair structured con. If you see his house, you understand that. But I remember at the time too. It's really funny because I was like, my wife. It was for my birthday. Her and my parents had teamed up to get me a trip to the Food and Wine Convention in Aspen. Right. So we were in Aspen. My wife and I were staying at like the fucking Four Seasons and shit, and it was really beautiful. And that night, we had signed up to go to a dinner that Jean Georges himself was cooking. It was insane. It was insane. And
Ike loves food. Ike loves food.
I love food.
This is his thing.
So I got the phone call from my manager before dinner. He's like, yeah, so it's not happening. And just right away, you're just like, I have no money. I went from making pretty good living to $0. So I was really freaked out and kind of pissed off. And I was like, okay, this is cool. This is great. I could just get a job on a TV show. Very easy to get a job on a TV show. It's regular. It's very simple. I've seen lots of people do it. I have friends that are doing it. Busy's doing it. Nicole's doing it. Everyone's doing it. I can do this. Great. Couldn't do it. Couldn't get shit. They would not hire me. And then I realized that, I don't know. On Mad TV, we made fun of a lot of other TV shows. And then I would try to audition to be on other shows created by the people who created those shows. So maybe that was part of it. Also, maybe I just wasn't good. I had been testing, how you test for shows. I tested for
Wait. Hold on. Guys, audience at home, if you're not familiar in the ways of Hollywood, Hollywood break, explanation break. Cause I didn't know this when I obviously started in this business. In order to get on a television show as a main character, they make you do something called test. It's like a screen test sort of. And you go in and there's usually one or two other people up for the same part and you do the scenes. It used to be really bizarre. They would make you go in person in front of the executives of the networks and studios. So you'd be sitting in a room looking at, who's the guy who got canceled from CBS? I don't even remember these motherfuckers. Yeah. So literally it would be all these
suits
and 95% men and 100% white and
in a boardroom you're acting in a boardroom.
Yeah. And then you have to do your weird comedy scene with a casting director normally. Occasionally, if the actor was cast for the lead, you would get to read with the actor, but that was very rare. Normally, I can't remember if this is, no. Courtney read with me at my Cougar Town network test, but I think at the studio, I just read with the casting director.
Yeah, you do 2 levels. You have to go to studio
first.
And then if you do well enough in studio, then they'll send you to network.
And that's the finals.
It's the finals, and it really is very stressful because
it's horrible.
It's horrible. You're up there with all these other actors, and everyone's nervous, and like nervously pacing, and like you have some actors who are trying to like they have headphones in, they're not listening. You know what I mean? It's just a very shitty, stressful situation. I tested for 25 shows. I didn't get one. I didn't get
anything
Wow.
like anything that made someone like a huge star, or anything that like was on the air. You know, like did you lose your Noah Wyle on ER role, or you know what I mean?
No, I mean it was. I wouldn't say no. Not on the test level. There were a couple shows that maybe went on for a year or two, but I auditioned for other shows. Like I auditioned for Chris Pratt on Parks and Rec.
Oh, you would have been great.
Yeah, he was really good though. I think he figured it out. He's figured out. I know he's kind of disappeared, but I wish him well. But I think
He's disappeared?
I just haven't seen that guy since Parks and Rec. Don't know what he's up to.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
It's a joke. Anyways, I was kind of at this point where I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get hired as an actor anymore. And I had originally moved to LA with my friend Dave Stassen, another friend of Busy's who we text a lot with. And we had moved out there to be writers and stuff. And I remember talking to him. And
What was Stassen doing at the time?
he moved out to LA, and then 3 years in, he moved to Washington, D.C. to
That's
work
right, because
on-
I didn't know him.
Yeah, because I had met you kind of after he had already left. pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
He was working on this classic TV show called Pardon the Interruption. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's like two guys yelling at each other. It's a great show. He was working on that, and I was like, well, I don't know, man. I'm not acting a lot, so maybe we should write. He moved back to LA, and the pivot was I'm just going to be a writer now. No one wants to hire me as an actor, which is fine. I love writing. It's like a joy when you're writing something that you love. It is the most fun job you can have. So we were just like, let's be writers. And we wrote a movie and it didn't sell. Wrote another movie, didn't sell. Wrote another movie, sold. And from that point on, we're like, writers, acting's done, tried it, didn't work, full-time writer. And that definitely saved my life. The kind of the capper was after like years of just writing and not acting, I got hired by another friend of Busy's, Daniel McBride, to be on Eastbound and Down, and that was the show.
How did that happen?
So
you knew him, or your friends,
no,
or you just auditioned?
No, it was crazy. I hadn't gotten. I went out for 25, 30 shows. Never got hired ever, and I was like, oh, this fucking sucks. But then I got a call from my agent that they were like, hey, Eastbound and Down season 3 is starting up, and they need your name came up. God bless Allison Jones, casting director, wonderful human being, like the best person, the best at her job. And she brought me in, and I remember it was for The Catcher, right? First of all, I fucking lost it because that was like my favorite show at the time. I loved it so much. It was just like Danny just blew me away. I was such a fan. It was the first show that I was getting ready to audition for that I was a huge, insane fan of. Okay. So I will never forget, it was for the part of The Catcher, right? And who's like his best friend, who's like a twin, Jason Sudeikis ended up playing it. I fucking rehearsed it for so long, got in my car and was driving the audition, and my agent called and said, hey, flag, they already made an offer to someone, forget it. And I was like, I was heartbroken. I was like, okay, is there anything else? Is there any other part? I'll do anything. Even if it's like a line. And they're like, well, there's this part for a Russian pitcher, but it's Russian. Can you do a Russian accent? I'm like, yep, amazing. I do the best Russian accent. I could kill it. My dad's family was Ukrainian. I can't do a good Russian accent. So I go home and I'm practicing on it and blah, blah, blah. I'm so nervous and I'm obviously not going to get it. And I went to the audition a few days later and there were real Russians in there, like who were like stacked, giant, like jacked Russians. And I went in there and I read with Danny and Jody, and I just kind of started, you know how those guys like to improvise and they like you to, you know, some people you go and you audition and they're like, stick to the script. And you're like, okay, all right. But Danny's like wants you to throw shit out. And he just started laughing. And I left there being like, that went pretty good. And then they called me and I was over the moon. It was the first time like someone really legitimately like that I loved and I thought was cool liked me. I just want to be liked.
Yeah, obviously. That's all we all want.
Well, the thing is, back to the pivot is that after we became writers and we sold a movie and we became established in the writing world as writers, I got this fluke job from Eastbound and Down, which Mindy Kaling saw, she loves Danny, a huge fan of that show, found me on Twitter. And so we became like whatever Twitter friends. And then when her show, The Mindy Project, was starting up, my partner and I had this kind of not argument, but for a long time, he was like, I want to staff on a show. I need to like work and be on a show and stuff. And I was like, if I staff on a show, then I'm for 100% not going to be able to act ever. And it was like the perfect situation where we got hired on her show as writers. So it was the writing, it was pivoting to the writing that, and then failing at that for literally many, many years, that I think allowed me to get what I still think is the best job I've ever had.
Wait, you weren't failing as a writer for years. You sold shit. It just didn't get. Well,
but for about a year and a half, we wrote like movies that like did not sell. Granted, they were not good. We wrote a movie about like three friends who tried. This is how time stamped the movie was. We wrote a movie, like a comedy about like three stoners who are broke and they decide to go kill Osama bin Laden.
I don't know. That feels like in the world of.
Can we make literally it what? Can we make it now?
Every executive, the thing is, we killed him in the movie, and every executive said, "What if he gets captured and killed before this movie comes out?" And we were like, "Guys, he's gone. You're never gonna see him again. He's gone." And then, like 2 months later, Obama's like, "Ladies and gentlemen, we got him."
Ike, I have a question for you, because I think that you are such a unique talent, and I think that you are. And I think that, to me, part of the reason why you failed miserably as an actor the first time you tried is because your own unique talent that you were trying to fit into someone else's bullshit of like terrible network television show guys.
There was definitely during that period, there was definitely a type of guy that was on every sitcom. And he was super hot, like fucking hot, and like jacked. And I quite don't fit that. You know, I just have look, I'm 43. I'm very comfortable. I have an interesting face. You know what I mean? Like I have big teeth, and so it's just I don't look like Jeff Stoltz was the guy that I would always see at auditions.
Stoltz,
He's like the hottest guy ever. So at that time, that was kind of like, now I think now they're kind of looking more for like, especially for comedy, they just want to do whatever, just funny and weird, you know what I mean? But there was definitely like, that was the type of guy that I would always kind of go up against with and never get, although I do remember at one time I auditioned to play Bob Saget's best friend on a sitcom. And I'll never forget, the three people who were testing were me, Mark Curry. I don't know if you guys know Mark Curry, Hanging with Mr. Cooper. Yes. Mark Curry, right?
Sure. Love him. Yes.
And Jerry Burns. Amazing actor. Jerry Burns is from Dear John, but he was on Breaking Bad. He's
I love him.
He's amazing. And
he's fantastic.
So the three of us are auditioning to play Bob Saget's best friend. So it's like me, like a 64-year-old white man, and like a 6'8", 45-year-old black man. And I remember Jerry Burns comes in and looks at me and Mark and goes, "Are we all here for Saget's friend?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, at least they know what type they're looking for." It could have been like so different. But anyways, to what you were saying, Biz, I think at that time I was trying to fit into my kind of weird round head into a square peg, and it just wasn't working.
But I just wonder if in like letting go of the idea that you were going to work in that space, it gave you like the freedom of being like, fuck it. And so you were just yourself moving forward on any audition.
100%. I really like got to a certain point where I was trying to like, just like you said, I was trying to make those like moves, but not really, still trying to do it my way. And that didn't work. And then at a certain point I was just like, I'm just going to be myself. If you want to hire me, great. If not, I'm sure there's other people, but I think everything I do is like a version of me in some weird way. I'm just not one of those actors who can kind of chameleon and,
You're not a Michelle Williams. And you know what?
I'm not a Michelle Williams. I'm not a Michelle
okay.
Williams. I want to be a Michelle Williams.
We love, like, speaking for the Black community, we have 2 Michelle Williams in this world, and we fuck with both of them.
We do
the
love them
best
both.
at what they do.
We fuck with both Michelle Williams, and it's real hard to find you a black and a white of the same name that everybody on Black Twitter fucks with. We love singing Michelle Williams, and we love acting Michelle Williams. No lie.
Oh.
Cap for both. Love them both
I'm
equally
right there
for
with you.
different reasons.
I'm right there with you.
Ike, can I ask you a question about when you were, making that pivot from acting to writing? Did you almost ever quit?
There was definitely like a moment where I kind of I just thought maybe this won't work. I try not to get there too much just because at that point I've been doing it for so long. I'd been in show business for years that like the thought of really kind of giving up. But like I'm sure there was a couple moments where I'm like, hey, if this doesn't work, then I'm fucking done.
I have like, maybe this is too personal.
Then you should tell it and cut it.
Yeah.
I remember very clearly. So you'd gotten married to Erica. I think this was just after you guys had been married. And you were like teary about work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you were just like, I gotta do. Oh,
It'd be so funny. It'd be so funny if it was at my wedding. By the way, at my wedding, I'm like, I need more auditions. I just gotta.
No. You just were like, it was the gist of it was essentially. I was probably drunk. The gist of it was essentially like I have to do right by my wife, and like, and I think you said, I just don't want her to feel like she bet on the wrong horse.
Oh my God, it's so sad. It's so sad.
And like you were just like, I just it's not even that I need to be famous. Like it's not, I need to work. Like I need
just
to
have
work.
health insurance.
I need to like, she moved here. She had a job and moved here for me. And like, I need to do this. Like, I gotta do this.
Yeah.
And I just remember being like, so, you're gonna do it, buddy. Like, I don't know.
You'll be fine. Don't worry. It works out for everyone.
I do think it's important for people listening just to know that there are those moments in even like people who you look at and you're like, oh yeah, that guy was on Mad TV and then he like, was with Amy Poehler in that movie and he wrote, and he writes these movies on the Mindy Project. That guy, like, he was great. He's like been working all the time. Like there were real moments where you were unsure if moving forward in this business was going to work for you because
For sure.
And you somehow found, was it helpful to work with Stassen? Do you feel like partnering back up with him helped like keep you both going?
I do. I think if you're fortunate enough to find someone who, above all, you agree on taste together, you have the same taste. If you have that person and that you're willing to work with each other, then you just know that you might argue about this or that, but at the end of the day, if you made a movie that was good, they would understand it was good and vice versa. If you can have that person just kind of pushes you. You know what I mean? It just kind of has a natural kind of like, because there's many days where I did not want to do anything except for like watch like old World War II in color videos. And
What are
just
you,
lay
my
on
dad?
couch.
What are you doing?
I know.
It's the weirdest.
So weird. I just turn on the History Channel and just sit in my bathrobe and like drink coffee and smoke and watch like, goddamn, Rommel was a genius. You know what I mean? Just like so dumb. But to have that person who you kind of like, hey, we're working today. Come on, let's go. It's good. If you can find that, hold on to it and use it. Hold on, Dave. I'm going to hold on to you.
You guys are great together. And I think that like that bit always gets sort of glazed over when the end result ends up being like a lot of success. You got, you wrote and directed your own movie last year. You're still, you're selling stuff all the time. Like you're offered things as an actor all the time now. And I think that it's leaning into your weirdness and who you kind of really are is the thing that ultimately helps people find success.
I think that's the most important thing. There's one takeaway. It's like, do what feels good to you. Do what right. If you're writing something, what feels funny to you. Anytime we've ever tried to write to what we think the town would like, or this one person would like, or if you're acting and you're going to do this one thing because you saw another actor do it and it worked for him or her, you probably won't end up working out. And if it does, you'll feel it's not as deep as if it's something that's just you being you. Like we're living in a good age now where people like vive la différence, you know what I mean? People want to see fucking different people, and they want to see weirdos, and they want to see something other than we've been seeing for the last 100 years. So I think it's a very good time to embrace, guys. It's a good time to embrace who you are. I always say this.
It is the thing you say the most.
It is.
Love your curves.
You guys know my tattoo, right?
Well, Ike, you are truly my favorite.
Guys, what a joy. What a friggin'
What
delight.
a joy. What a delight. This is my 47th interview with Ike Barinholtz.
The Tony Randall of Busy Phillips.
I am honored to be your Tony Randall.
All right, Ike, tell your family I love them.
Back at you. Love you guys.
Bye. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Okay, guys, listen. That was a delightful chat with Ike Barinholtz. I love him. I'm so glad he was the first guest today. Nope. Hopefully we'll have more episodes. Caissie, sometimes I'm like looking and you're just like looking at me like, is she going to do it?
I'm trying to tell you with my mind what to say.
Why? Don't tell me with your mind what to say. You can just jump in and say your own fucking shit. That's why you're here. You're actually not producing from behind a camera. You're actually a part of it. So you could just jump right the fuck in. But that is the look that you would give me on Busy tonight when things would be going awry and you'd just be like,
You got it.
Anyway, I love Ike. I love the success that he's had in his career, and his family is incredible and wonderful. And I'm so glad that we're such good friends. And he always just is such a delight. And I'm so glad and grateful to him for being our inaugural guest. Thank you, Ike.
Thanks,
so,
Ike.
guys, we're going to let you guys get on with your lives. This has probably been too long anyway. I want to say that in the future, if you want to talk about a pivot that you're currently taking, maybe be due to COVID or maybe
Or that you're considering.
or a pivot that you're considering, maybe due to COVID or, becoming aware and motivated for social justice issues, for Black Lives Matter, for voting, for the candidates, whatever.
if
I
you're
don't
in a
know your life.
situation that you just want to change for no other reason.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you want to pivot and you're nervous about it or you want to talk about it or whatever, we do have an email. It's busydoingherbest@gmail.com. And you can write in. And in this last little bit, after we talk to our guests and we sort of wrap up everything, we're going to go through some of those things. And we will, I don't know if we'll end up talking to you. Maybe we will call. I don't know.
Maybe we'll just try to give you some advice, even though we don't know what we're talking about. And it's, our guess is as good as yours.
Yeah,
I don't
we're
know.
just gonna
I
do our best.
Listen, I have to be honest about that. I think we do know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I honestly think we have good advice, and it's just
Yeah.
like when you watch those commercials for weird medicines, because in America you can do that. It's like we'll give you the advice, and you can take it as you see fit.
Right. But we've lived lots of years, the three of us, but also we've seen lots of things, and we have friends that do all kinds of things, and I personally have seen lots of pivots. And anyway, if you want some help, advice, if you want to share, that line is open, and we look forward to hearing from you about that. Oh, also, you know what I'd love to hear? If you had the $1 million idea that you didn't act on, and somebody else did and made $1 billion and was on Oprah, I want to hear about it. I'm
Absolutely.
fascinated by those stories of Yeah.
That kid
invented
who invented the thing where you hang bacon and then you put it in the microwave and cook it. I definitely thought about that before she made it to Oprah. Definitely.
I mean,
that was definitely on my mind.
It could have been you, Shantira. Speaking of which, I never had any good product ideas. That's not where I don't think so. I don't think so.
So yeah, we want to hear from you. And also we have a second episode on Wednesday.
Oh, right. This is important information. So we launched the podcast today. This is Monday, August
17th.
It's Monday, August 17th. Who cares? Time. Am I right? But we're really our podcast date that it comes out. No, release day of the week. Our release day of the week. Our podcast's release day of the week is going to be Wednesdays. So we thought instead of you having to wait a whole week and a half, we'll just do another show that'll be available this Wednesday, the 19th. That's going to be great. And it's going to have somebody amazing on it. And then we'll go regular schedule in a week the following Wednesday.
Hump day.
Hump day to hump day, guys. Also, you know what I think comes out on Wednesday, the 19th?
What?
The Sarah Beth Tomberlin, the singer who lives in my house, her new EP and the video that I directed that Mark and I shot on our iPhones and he edited on his computer also is released on the 19th.
You know, I love a white girl with a guitar and making me cry. That's my go-to.
We shot in the hurricane. It was shot. I say shot. We were literally holding our phones.
If there's rain in it, I'm 100% going to cry.
Oh, there is rain in it.
Sad white women in the rain with a guitar. You got me. That's it. Nothing sadder.
So there's a lot to look forward to this week. Also this week, guys, I'm maybe going to finally get my toe fungus lasered off.
Wow.
That pivot in my life has been brutal. Because
you lost a toenail, right? You lost a toenail.
The first thing that happened was just a straight up toenail injury.
Yeah.
Which was due to not cutting my toenails short enough and working out as much as I do every day.
I'm legit gonna black out.
Oh, right. Oh, wait, Caissie, just block. Wait, Caissie, I'm sorry, Caissie, mute. Just mute it. Wait. I'm serious. I'm actually serious. Just stop. You don't need to listen to this.
Oh, I didn't know she couldn't listen to feet.
I didn't either. I feel like that's a little far. I'm not even going to lie, Caissie. It feels a little made up.
I thought
like
you
could
see feet. I didn't know you could.
I wasn't going to show you. I feel like, I don't know. Anyway, I'm not buying it. But anyway, so let me continue my journey because I think it's something that a lot of people, and as you know, I'm all about destigmatizing things that people don't want to talk about. I feel like toenail fungus is one of them. So anyway, I had bruised my toenail so badly that it fell off. Mm-hmm. Like most of it fell off. And then I guess what happens, which I didn't know until the podiatrist told me, is that when that happens, your toenail is very susceptible to fungus. So you should be really careful, like if you go to nail salons and like what tools people are using on you and stuff. And so I guess I like contracted some sort of toenail fungus. Whoa. And so then it's just been the last like bit of time. And then I thought maybe over quarantine I could really like heal it with using homeopathic things and like spraying it with Lysol. It wasn't. Wait, it wasn't Lysol. Wait, it wasn't Lysol.
It was good.
Oh, it was Listerine. No, it was Listerine.
Both
dipping
of
it in
those are
Listerine.
Bad, right?
Okay, it didn't work, guys. It didn't
the
work.
President's press conference on coronavirus.
It didn't work. I was taking a page from Trump. No, it didn't. Like the homeopathic, like tea tree oil and all that stuff. Like I did it all, guys. I read all the things. Don't send that stuff to me because I don't want your like this worked for me. It didn't work for me. I did it all. And so then now I have this appointment. So like maybe I'm going to try the laser, which worked for Erica, who did wardrobe on Busy tonight.
You just outed her.
You just outed her.
I don't care. odor. Listen, you guys, everybody's like, this is a thing millions of people deal with.
Here's what I'm going to say. That item that you're talking about, the thing, your affliction, is maybe it's like a small trade-off for never smelling because you never smell.
I don't have a natural odor, but I did contract toe fungus when my toenail fell off last year. It's a bummer. It's a bummer. But it also speaks to, guys, be careful where you put your feet. Be careful what tubs you put them in. Be careful who's touching them. Be careful where they go. Be careful where you put that big toe.
I feel like that's a great note. That's like just a great note for everybody to go about their week.
Yeah. I love you guys. I love you so much. I love you. I can't even tell you how much I love you. I really do. I'm sending you love. Is that weird?
No,
I really
it's
want
necessary.
It's
especially
necessary.
now.
I just really want everybody to have one fucking moment today where you just feel like, okay. Just okay. And know that somebody out there is sending you love and good vibes because Shantira and Caissie and I are doing that to you right now. And we'll see you on... Nope, we're not going to see you. This is a podcast. We're going to talk to you on... See? Already...
Doing our best.
Just doing my best, guys. Okay, I'm Busy Phillips. It's Caissie St. Onge and Shantira Jackson. And this is Busy Phillips is doing her best.
Bye.
Oh, no.